You won't believe how this tip can improve your AI models. Imagine having to describe a soccer ball without being able to call it a soccer ball. How would you tackle it? Let's break it down. We could begin by saying that it's a spherical object commonly utilized in a well-loved sport involving kicking, or that it consists of panels and patches stitched together. We could describe its surface as interconnected geometric shapes, notably hexagons. We can go into details about what material it's made from. Leveraging these elements significantly enhances our AI model, allowing us to create a whole picture more accurately. We are creating a dataset of images. See my previous video for making AI models, and improving the dataset, making them smarter and more accurate to what we're asking. Incorporating these details into the captioning process, our AI models better understand subjects, people, and styles. Applying the same principle, let's take a look at Winnie the Pooh. Initially, we can simply describe him as a yellow bear with a red shirt. Gathering more images will help our model understand what he looks like in different poses, facial expressions, and situations. We can build a model that represents Winnie the Pooh. However, if you want to change small elements of that particular character, that's where captioning comes in play. Essentially, we're creating a dataset of images as well as a separate text document that coincides with each image. These descriptors in the text document help our model understand what's happening. See this example of a text document. Above, we can see a very vague description of Winnie the Pooh. So Winnie the Pooh, smiling face, small eyes, upturned eyebrows, standing. It doesn't really give us information as far as what's specifically happening in this image, the environment, or anything else. What we want to aim for is more details about the environment, camera angle, colors, items in the image, clothing, hairstyles, eye color, and more. When we bring the data into our training process, the model we create will be more accurate. Now we see the example on the bottom. It's a little bit more descriptive about what's happening. Winnie the Pooh, a cartoon bear, wearing a red shirt, standing in front of a bed, big belly, still frame, wearing a crop top, and it goes on and on and on. So we incorporate the camera angles, we incorporate the colors, we also mention things that are happening in the environment, background elements like the painting on the wall, and you can get as detailed as you can ideally, especially when you're creating a model based on style. In this video, I'll guide you through the step-by-step process demonstrating how you can utilize captioning tools to refine and enhance your AI models. So sit back, relax, let's embark on this exciting journey and create a smarter and more accurate model. An important concept to understand is the variables that we want to allow to change within our captions. So for instance, if we're captioning for a character, there's certain things we want to change and there's certain things we don't want to change. So for example, if I want to make a model based off of Winnie the Pooh, his iconic look is a yellow bear wearing a red shirt. However, if I want to allow changes to be made to his shirt color, I would add in the descriptors in my text document, for instance, a red shirt. This will allow me to make changes later on if I want to change any color of a shirt in the process of creating this model. However, if I leave that off, the model will understand, okay, the red shirt is iconic to his look. This is something that does not change. So things that you want to be allowed to change in your model should be included in the captioning process. We know that he's a bear, so we won't necessarily need to add bear into the captions because we understand this is his look. It's something that we don't want to change. We understand that he has a little black nose and little black eyes. So this is something, again, we would avoid in the captioning process. When training, these are variables that we want to change or variables that we want to be left alone. So for this example, if I was training a model on this image, certain things I'd like to change would be the clock. So I would describe what's happening in the background. I would describe it as, a wall-mounted clock. It's a painting of a bee. I would go into details if it's a wooden clock that is nailed to the wall. I would describe his honey jars that are on the floor if I want those to be something that would change. I would describe them, how they look, the shape, the size, positioning, camera angle, any other details, any writing, anything I'd want on there. If I wanted to change the background elements, for example, the blanket on the bed, I would include that in the captioning process. I would include all these elements in the captioning process so the AI model knows these are things that I want to be able to change when I'm generating images later on. Different variables you may want to consider when you're creating a model based off of a person are eye color, hair color, style of hair, if it's long, short, etc. However, again, if your character has a signature look, and it's something that you don't want to change, don't include it in the captioning process. For instance, if your character, for this example, has a long nose or a muscular jaw, I wouldn't add that in the captioning process because that's a part of the look that I would want to keep and retain. Things you want to avoid when captioning would be repetitious words. Similar to prompting, repeating words will increase the weighting of the word or the influence of that word in the training process. Example, if you repeat the word background too much, that might give you 3 tags of the same thing. Things you would avoid in this image, for example, are saying that there's jars in the background, there's a tree in the background, there's a hallway in the background. All those 3 different descriptors have the word background in the image, which would increase the weighting of that tag in the training process. In general, I like to keep a rough format when I'm prompting. Still have a global word that you'd like to use, a perspective of the camera, the angle, an action word, a descriptor, and any other background elements and details you want to add at the end. This assures that the main weighting is focused towards the front, which will focus on what you're trying to create and the action that's happening, and any other descriptors are just added detail towards the end. Now with this in mind, let's dive into the tools that we could use for captioning. The reason we're going to use these tools, as captioning manually can take a very long time. It can be easy if you have very few images. However, if we're building a model on a style, it requires a lot more. A person, you can get away with using up to like 12 to maybe 20 images, even then it's a lot, but that'll give your model a good base on what they look like in different lighting scenarios and clothing, etc. But a style, you require a lot more images, up to like 200, 300 if you want, but that may be overkill. However, you can imagine it takes a very long time having to go through, creating text documents, describing each intricate detail, background elements, lighting, etc. This can literally take you days to do. I'll show you how you can speed up this process significantly. First thing I would do is go to the link I'll provide in this video and download this app called Pinocchio. And it's a very simple installation process. They even have a video GIF showing you how to do it. You download it from their website, drag and drop it into your applications, run the little patch, and it's up and running. After you enter your password, it's usable. From there, it allows you to download different applications that are available. This application updates pretty frequently with the latest Stable Diffusion models, and there's a variety of things. You have models that create audio, swap out voices, light versions of Stable Diffusion, Automatic 1111, face-to-face replacement options, and so on and so forth. This thing changes really often, and there's so many updates, it's kind of hard to keep up, honestly. But you'll go through the process and do the initial download, which will take a long time, but it's not hard. You literally go step by step, downloading all the things that they require you to do in the initial setup. Once there, you can click on your home button, and this will bring you to any models that you have downloaded. The one that we're going to use is this. So if you don't have that already, which you wouldn't, you can search from it, or under the Discover option, scroll down, because it's a thing that's been here for a while, so it'll be kind of close to the bottom. If you don't see it, you can always search for it, but again, since I have it downloaded, it's already there. Once you search for it, you'll find it. You'll click the installers, download it. It'll download any necessary repositories, and you have the option to choose which model you want to download. So I just chose the Stable Diffusion 1.5. You can use the Stable Diffusion XL model if you want. It's up to you. Again, you'll click it and download it, and you'll go through the installation process, and it's very clear on what it says. Just next. It's very easy to follow along. I really appreciate this app for its simplicity and usefulness. I'm not sponsored by them. I've used this a handful of times and tried different ones out, and this just is the easiest way I found to do the captioning for bulk images. So you click launch once everything's installed, and it takes a little minute to go through its whole process. What it will do is launch a web browser, because this is how this functions, and it's a light version of like the Stable Diffusion web UI. But the main thing we're going to use in this, we're not going to tinker with any of these other settings. We're just using this for captioning, but there's different uses. I'd recommend you explore and try this out. There's other videos online, but I just didn't see one on captioning, so that's what we're doing. We're going to go under Utilities. So under the Dream Booth option, Utilities. And then we're going to scroll down to where it says Captioning. They have different options. You have Basic Captioning, Blip Captioning, Get Captioning, and so on and so forth. This may change as time goes on. This thing updates pretty frequently. So for this example, I'm just going to use blip captioning. Next, you're going to choose where your images are stored. So again, if you have like 150 images, 50 images, it'd take a long time to do this manually. So we're just going to do this a quick and easy way. So for this example, I'm going to choose around 30 some odd images for a particular art style I want to capture, which is more of a graffiti art style. So I'm going to choose the folder where the images are stored. So again, that's under utilities, blip captioning, and then the little folder here. Again, try later on with these other ones here and see if these give you better results. Some of these you can add prefixes. So if you always have your trigger word at the beginning of it, you can manually add that in the caption here. It will save you a lot of time. But for this example, I'm just using blip captioning. So choose the folder where the images are located. So I'm going to leave the caption file extension default to .text. The prefix I'm going to use, because I know the trigger word that I have for my model I'm going to use is just me. So I'm going to have Evan G and style, because we're going for an art style, right? So Evan G style. So you can have a post fix and add that to the captioning option too. Batch size, I'm going to leave that at 1. Everything else is pretty much just default. So you'll see a few different things when I press start. 1, this window will start doing a whole bunch of things. 2, text files will start being generated within where the images were stored. So I'm going to press caption images and this will begin. So you'll see this is starting to load all the information where the images are located. It takes a little while, a little processing to do it, but it'll start doing its thing. So now it's running all the Python scripts and stuff it needs, and it's already starting the processing of this folder. So it's creating the text documents that are assigned to each image. And it's very, very important when captioning. I should emphasize this. You want your you want your text documents to match the image that it's correlated with. So whatever the image is called, so for mine, it was just, in sequence. So it was just graffiti 1. So the text document, I want to also have it called graffiti 1. So everything should match up, so there's no confusion. So be sure that all your text documents are matched up. That's why I like using this method. For one, it just creates all the text documents for me. That's the main goal that I want. It's also going to give you a rough start to what you can add for your caption. Generally, you'll have to go in still and make a lot of changes, but I'm primarily using this just to give me all the text documents that are also correlated with the images. Everything's lined up and it has like a base level start for me. So now if I open one of my text documents, you'll see the prefix that I asked for, which was my name and style, and what's in the image. So it gave me a very rough start. Obviously, this is missing quite a bit of information. So from here, you'd have to go in manually and add more to it. I'll show you another alternative though that can also speed up this process. So far, we utilized one application that created all the text documents that align with each image. So that's a good start. However, adding the additional detail can take a lot of time. So to kind of speed up this workflow, there's 2 different websites I like utilizing. You can use them at your own discretion. They're not super accurate all the time, and you do sometimes get some not safe for work recommendations at what pops up for the text. So just keep in mind, that's something that might pop up. There's one that's a Deep Danburu, which you can also utilize in different web UI interfaces, but this is just a standalone web one. If you don't want to go the route of downloading additional applications like Pinocchio and you feel like manually creating the text documents yourself, go ahead and do that. But you can also use this to help with the captioning. What you're simply going to do is drag in your images, and each one kind of gives you a little bit of different options. So the second one I'm going to use is also, it's a clip interrogator, which means it's going to look at the image and try to figure out what's in the image. So for this example, I'm going to grab and drag and drop the image of the guy with the headphones into here. And I'll do that for the other one too. You have a few different options with both. For the Deep Danburu website, if you move the slider to the right, it's going to give you fewer options that what it suggests is in the image. If you move it to the left, it's going to give you a lot more things, a lot more details, descriptors, but again, it's not always accurate, and there is a lot of not safe for work things that will pop up. This gives you 3 different options to kind of pick and choose from, things to kind of help you, guide you. The rating system, if it's safe, not safe for work, what's included within this image. You have the JSON file format as well, if you want to utilize that. And under text, it gave me the descriptors of this image. Again, this is using the Deep Damburu website. And this is going to take time, people, so you'll have to go in. If you want to use this, drag and drop each image to get more detailed, because compared to the original, it didn't give me a lot of information. This gave me quite a bit more. So for this, it gave me, you know, the color of the person, but as I explained to you, the more times you repeat a word, the more weighting it's adding to it. So just keep in mind that this won't always be 100% accurate, and you'll still have to copy and paste and kind of go in and make changes as needed, but you can simply copy and paste it from there. And from the other website, you have a few different options to choose from. You have negative prompting, so it'll scan the image, it'll interrogate the image as it says, and it'll see what's not in there. The same thing if you were to negative prompt using, you know, your Stable Diffusion web UI like 1111 or Draw Things or Diffusion B. Same option for negative prompting. This is where you can generate some negative prompts for that particular image and get a better understanding of what to avoid. So you have your classic mode, fast mode, and best. I'm going to choose best. And again, it can generate not safe for work stuff, so be patient. And as you see right now, it is pretty busy, so you may have to wait in a queue. So I end up using more of the other one, more so than this one, this clip interrogator, but it's a useful tool. So I wanted to share how you can use this in your workflow. So this will take a little while, so I'm going to pause this here and wait for this to finish. Okay, and this thing finally finished up. I know I'm using the second of the images, but you kind of get the gist of this. So I copy and pasted this into my text document, and you can kind of see my original prompt, what I saw in the image. Again, this is kind of referring to the blonde image here, and then the Deep Damburu, kind of like what they add. So I chose the other images with the skyscrapers just to kind of see what other details they can pick and pull from the image itself. And then I also chose the image of the skyscraper, so it can kind of pick and pull the detail from the background itself if I want to incorporate that stuff. But you can kind of see what each one does. One gave me like descriptors of like, you know, closed mouth, and because this had skyscrapers and stuff in the background, it added that. Skyscraper, you can also add like buildings or, you know, cityscape or something like that if you wanted to in the background. Just different ways you describe this image. The clip interrogator did a pretty good job too. I chose to use that with the blonde image, and you can see some different things that aren't related at all, which is why you want to go and edit. Like, it says hybrid human / tank. That's what I got from looking at this. So these kind of things are where you're gonna have to go in and manually kind of clean it up. So what do you do with all this information? Well, here's the next step. If you've already seen my previous video, which I'll link here, you can utilize services like Dream Booth or one of Google Colabs to try to train your model. I'm not sponsored by this company. I have used them. I really like the service, and at a time they did give me a little promo code to give you guys, which I'm not sure is usable anymore, but I like the service, and you can utilize your text documents here. So as before, check out that video if you haven't. But you can create AI avatars or full-blown models, and that's what we're going to do here. You can train Stable Diffusion XL models here if you want to. It does utilize a lot more tokens and stuff. This isn't free. This is something you do have to pay for, but it does work pretty efficiently. They do have a base model to start from, so quite a few selections here. You have, you know, a variety of realistic vision. You have anything version 3, you have analog, you have Open Journey 4, quite a few options for you. So you choose your base model, you'd upload your images, you drag them in. It's gonna take a while for those to process. And then here's where it's gonna be a lot of experimentation. I would just leave this as the default settings. I have some examples of like some graffiti art styles here. But I have 31 images. So normally the rule of thumb is For a style, you could try like each image times 100. So normally I would just have like, since it's 31, let's just do what, 31 times 100. So at the bottom here, it'll give you the calculation of how many tokens are going to utilize to create this thing. You can also not only create the safe tensor model there, that by default here, you can create diffusers. I'm going to keep it as the compatible automatic 1111 option with the safe tensor. I'm also going to extract a LoRa model from this. Here's where we can upload our image captions. Now the problem is you can't just upload plain text. So what do? You have to convert them into a JSON file. Fortunately, this particular website offers this for free for anybody. So you'd click on the little bookmark here. You'll click on this link here, which will open up a Google Colab. And just like any other Colab, if you haven't used before, you'll have to log in through your Google account. You'll click the buttons in sequence. First one's going to prompt you like, hey, we're going to be utilizing this through your Google stuff, your Google account. Okay, cool. It's also going to say what the extension is by default. So if all your images are the same as it says here, PNG, JPEG, it says do not include the dot in the extension, e.g. put a JPEG, not .jpeg. Okay, that's fine with me. So I'm going to hit play. And then the next one up, you'll press start here. And this is going to give you an option to choose all your text documents. So you can select just the folder where they're located. Sometimes you'll have your text files in with the images. It's going to just exclude the image files anyway, but it just takes longer to do it this way. It also states that. But it will scan all those and then convert them into a JSON file at the very end here, which we then can download and then go back into and upload it to that website. Again, just an added step if wherever you're training your models requires specifically a JSON file instead of a plain text document. Depending on how many text documents you have, this may take a little longer than others. Again, it really is going to take you the longest amount of time actually writing out the descriptions of each image. It can literally take you days. So just be very patient, and it will just know that it's going to help the overall result. So it's completed the scanning. So next I'm gonna hit the final little button here. I pressed it too soon, so I got a little error code there, but now it should be good. I got the little check mark. It's downloaded the document. So now from here, I can upload my captions. I would just choose a document. I can select where my captions are. It'll show me the text documents that it's correlating with. Press open. It'll take a minute for it to upload. So now it has all the captions that are linked up exactly with the images provided that's going to be trained on. And with this, you can have a much more accurate model that will give you exactly what you want a lot more frequently than just random images. So take your time, write really, really descriptive descriptions of what's happening in the image. Again, avoid duplicating words to overweight things, because you don't want to do that too often, because it's going to mess up your model more than it'll help. And let me know in the comments below if this helps with your models, if you see an improvement in the overall generation. But captioning is very important to get much more accurate results from your generations. So with that being said, y'all, be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment below if this helped you creating a much more accurate model. If you see a difference before and after of using captions or not using captions. You can use different applications to run your models once they're created, like Diffusion P or Draw Things or Automatic 1111. And some give you more tools than others. Some give you much more speed than others. You'll have to just experiment. But with that being said, I'm gonna wrap this up here. I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.